Okay, I think I got it, and I think I actually muted it, so it's not going to echo today. Woo! Point one for Hannah. Let's say 0 points for technology, but that's not true because it's probably going to get me in a second here, so it's okay. All right, let's see. Let's get this going. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday. For me, it's we've got a birthday day today for my little one. No longer have a 3-year-old.
It's Willow's birthday. Happy birthday, Willow.
She woke up early today and she's like, Mom, is it my birthday? I was
Oh yeah.
like, yes, it's your birthday, babe. She probably should have slept a couple more hours because she's still tired. But she's up and we have a birthday hat that I have for like all the kids and I make them wear it on their birthday and I take a picture. Okay. So, it's this mom life thing. So my tradition. And so I got out for her. She's been wearing it all day long. Like we went
Love
to
this
go
girl.
drop her old brother off at high school and we had to go in and so like she came in with me wearing her hat, walking around like, oh, it's your birthday. And she's like, yes. However, she's not sure how she feels about being 4 years old because as she told me last night, she wants to be little. And someone told her that 4 years old is big. So she won't tell people that she's four yet. Actually, she just told my daughter that she's four finally. So like probably 15 people have asked her so far today and that she would not answer them. And then finally she told her older sister, yeah, I'm four. But it was so funny because she told me in the car as we were driving back home, she's like, I have little toes. I'm little.
Love Willow. What a lady. She's so great.
So she has little toes and she's four. So yeah, so we are after this, I'm gonna go start decorating because she wants a unicorn and disco ball dance party birthday party. She wants pink
Oh,
disco balls on the ceiling.
oh, I love this girl. She's got some style. All right. Man, this is gonna be a killer party. Best
She
4-year-old
is
party ever.
she is fabulous.
She is.
I
Well, just what she
absolutely
said
love
about
it.
pretty doesn't run, it
Doesn't
walks.
run,
I was
it
like,
walks.
oh my gosh. I was like, who is this girl? Like, gosh, wait for this one to grow up. Like, oh my goodness.
She is fabulous. That's right.
Truly,
Oh
truly.
my gosh. So anyway, so yes, it's been a great morning so far. And yeah, so excited to come back here on today. So welcome, welcome everybody. If you are here live, wave at us. Drop us an emoji. Say hi, all the things. I'm going to try to drop some comment or questions in the comments so you guys can interact. But yeah, feel free to drop your feedback and takeaways and things like that. Megan and I love it. So we can this is a conversation we love to have, right? So
Mhm.
let's
Yeah, we're
do
a
the
couple of nerds
things.
and we're just gonna keep nerding out over this, like,
That's right.
anyway. So why not, hey, like why not
Come
join in?
on. That's right. I got water today. I finished my coffee already. So I got my water. Let's pull up a chair and let's chat. This is episode 4 in our series of 5. So the last one will be tomorrow.
Mhm.
And remember, all of these are put on the podcast, the Iconic Life podcast. You guys can find it on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever, and catch up if you haven't heard the first episode. But this has been a really alive, deep, beautiful series of conversations that we've had, and I've really enjoyed it. So, Megan, thank you for coming on and then doing this journey with me. But this is, our heart and our passion is that you, the listener hearing this, that, if you're hearing something, you get some interest is being sparked, that you guys lean in and make those decisions and choices for yourself, commit to the work and and take those decisions for yourself and change your life, right? These are big things that we're sharing, and we're very excited about it and all the things. But all right, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? All right, everybody, welcome back to the Iconic Wealth series. These are our conversations on wealth, stewardship, modern money, and the women who move early. I'm Hannah Elsey. I'm the founder of the Iconicity Movement and the host of the Iconic Life podcast. And this space, like I just shared, is really about expanding these conversations around what wealth and leadership, freedom, sovereignty, and opportunity can look like for women and men in this next era. These are conversations that I wish more women were being invited into, that I had been invited into, years previously. And so I'm creating a table and we're having conversations around it. So we're talking about ownership, we're talking about positioning, we're talking about access and creating overflow and lives, iconic lives that we are wildly in love with, while understanding where the world is moving. So, whether you are deeply in this world already, or just curious, or just stumbled across our feed, you're in the right place. Okay. So, let's talk about it because I truly believe that iconic women and men do not just watch the future happen and let it slide on by, right? We learn, we lean in, we lead ourselves, we lead our communities, our families, and we move with intention. We make decisions and we move. Okay. So, like I said, I finished my coffee, but I've got my water. So you grab your coffee, your tea, your water, whatever it is, and let's jump into today's conversation. Okay. All right. So today, Megan and I are back. And you guys, this one today is going to feel a little bit different from our last episodes. Before we went kind of deep on yesterday, episode 3, we went pretty deep on Wi-Fi, the mechanics of it, the structure of it, the why behind it, the Apple story, right? If you missed that one, go watch it, right? It might change how you kind of think about where your money lives. Episode 2 had more info about that too, and actually all of them had info about it, but yesterday we went kind of deep. But today we're going to get a little bit personal, and I'm going to try to keep an eye on the comments. So yeah, I'll keep looking over there. Okay. Today we're going to get personal. We're going to talk about our journeys. Like what brought Megan and I here, right? What we've had to maybe unlearn over the years, and then what we feel like the bigger picture looks like from where we're standing now. And what we are making, what we're sharing today to every woman and man who is watching, right? So, Megan, before we get into anything else today, I want to ask you, I don't know if I asked you this on camera before, but kind of give us a quick glimpse of like what does your life actually look like right now? Like give us kind of a picture of what your iconic life looks like today.
Oh man. Well, so that's definitely changed over the years, but my iconic
Uh-huh.
life is it's really cool to be able to say that it's actually starting to really look like what I always wanted it to look like, where I'm traveling quite a bit and getting to do the work that I want to do and in the way that I want to do it and where I want to do it. And that's actually probably one of the biggest things and with whom I want to.
Yes.
And what I love about it is that I always wanted to be untethered and to be able to work from anywhere, which I think a lot of people can resonate with that. And yeah, I didn't think that was a possibility, but just like from the way I, kind of grew up and understood work and society and just the way things were structured. But yeah, like I actually get to do the work that I want to do from where I want to do it with whom I want to. I get to have conversations with awesome other, women like you and I get to do it in a coffee shop if I want to. I get to do it from Bali if I want to, which, I got to do that last October, which was cool. And then, I'm actually off to Austin in about another week and a half to go and mastermind with some other cool ladies. And it's really cool to be able to say that.
Yeah.
And it's not to brag, but it's like, man, like, wow, I didn't think that was actually possible. And so like just to be
Yeah.
doing things like that in that way, like, yeah, it's cool. But
Yeah.
it's a little snapshot of what it looks like right now.
Yeah, and this is like you said, this is not well, it's not about bragging, it's about sharing like what is possible, right? And inspiring those of us who are listening. Because I know it's encouraging for me as I'm creating, and I know it's encouraging for others who are listening in, right? Because guess what? This is not a fantasy. This is not something that you just fell into. Like this is years of intentional decisions on your part, right? About money, about your identity, about who you were, about what you were willing to accept as your ceiling, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, like I mean, yes, you were going on to Austin and you just got back from Portland and Las Vegas and let's see, where were you? Dubai before that? Like you're a little bit of a globetrotter. So let's just be honest. And Switzerland, where you got
Yep.
engaged on the Alps. What? Okay,
Yep.
so let's just add a little bit more to the iconic life. I'm just saying. Okay, all right, girly. Yeah, and you just retired yourself too, I think, right? So
Yep.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things, you guys, right? And this is a journey that I'm on as well, right? But let's pull the thread a little bit here, Megan. So, because I think the women watching need to hear, like, again, a little bit more of that real version, right? Not just these beautiful highlights of the after, but for those of us, because a lot of us listening maybe are still in the befores, right? So I want you to kind of give us a little bit of a picture of that, Megan. Like, what was it like before you made these choices and decided to go for that what I didn't think was possible life, right? What did life look like before you started to create and build wealth in this new way for you?
Mhm. Absolutely. So that is a fun story. And what I can tell you also, just really quickly before I dive into it, is that it could have gone a lot faster. So anyway, just keep that in mind, like, hey, trust, like when, the jump that, sometimes it takes, I think it's always a jump, right? For the things that you really want,
Hmm.
but just know that that can go a lot faster. So anyway, but let's rewind, I think about, man, almost 15 years ago, sitting at a desk working for the Department of Defense as an analyst and all that. And it was my first job out of college. I studied Arabic back in the day, so Middle East studies Arabic. That's actually my traditional background. That's what I did in college. I got to study in Egypt, which I have always liked globetrotting, let's be real. So I've
Hmm.
always
Yeah.
liked traveling. Like that's what keeps me alive, or like, well, I mean, people I love keeping alive, but it's like,
Yes.
that's something that's just in my lifeblood. Like
It's
it's
a
so
passion. Yes,
it is a
exactly.
passion. And so I love to be able to see new places and experience new cultures. Like that's just always been part of me. But anyway, but if we rewind, and kind of look at, okay, what was work life? What did your life look like? It was still awesome. Like, I mean, good. And I was slaving over a hot desk, and I was like, oof, oof. And I felt so bored.
Yeah.
Like while I had awesome friends, we did great things, dog sledding trips, and I got to go and do cool things with family, and it was fun, but it wasn't nearly enough. Like I wanted to do more of that. Like I wanted to have more time, and I also didn't really care about the work I was doing. I was like,
It
okay,
wasn't lighting you up.
was not lighting me up. It's probably some of the most depressing content you could ever view.
Oh,
Just like, oh man, this is probably some of the worst of humanity right here.
oh.
But and so it wasn't really filling me up. And not that it wasn't important in a way, but in a sense, I also just felt like, and I also saw that from a lot of the people around me, that people were just kind of running out the clock every day. Just
Yeah,
kind of that classic 9 to 5 feel where it's,
right.
you might do 20 minutes of, real work, where you're like, okay, here's actually like the pivot point, like here's what's gonna, you know, leverage and like
Make a
actually
difference.
results,
Yeah.
make a difference, like maybe 20 to minutes to an hour or something. But and then the rest is, shuffling around, going and grabbing your tea or coffee or something, and kind of chatting with the coworker across the wall or something, which that was always the funnest part of the day was, having the chats with, my crazy coworkers or something. But it's like, but it just didn't fill me up.
Yeah.
And so over the years, as I, got introduced to entrepreneurship and just like, oh, hey, actually, life doesn't have to look this way.
Mm,
And that was probably the biggest, most daring thing was that actually things can look different and believing that it was okay for it to look different. That, hey, just because this is what was given to you and modeled, and this is what society says goes and how it is, well, it doesn't mean that that's how it has to stay. And so that was, I think, the biggest challenge. And so trying to believe that for myself that, oh, the things you actually want and the kind of life that you're wanting to live, like you can do
mm,
that. And the
hmm.
faster you accept that and jump into it, it's like, obviously you can, set up some things to help yourself do so, maybe in a more elegant manner than I did. But at the same time, it's like the sooner that you just, trust that,
Decide. Yeah.
yeah, and decide that, hey, guess what? This is what I want. This is what I'm going for, the
Yeah.
faster it's, actually going to start looking the way that you want it to. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
So true. Yeah, it's on the other side of the decision, right? That's when
Uh-huh.
things begin to collapse and like timeline and to this one. And then
Well,
yeah.
Hannah, so like it was interesting. So, one woman that I really like to follow, Emily Williams, and so she's a cool lady. Her brand is I Heart My Life, and so she's interesting too. So she actually pointed out, and I hadn't really thought about it, but the word to decide, if you look at the ending of it, side, what other words can you think of that end in that, right? Which not a positive word, but you can think of some words like that and they're very final. And so that's kind of
Mm,
what side means is to end, to kill, right? And so it's like, and I don't mean that to, be all kind of like, ooh, but it's because it's such an important definitive word, that
yes.
ending when attached to something. So to decide, that's literally to kind of get rid of other options and to be
Yeah.
like, all right, this is it. And that's probably why so many people get decision fatigue and get afraid of making a decision because it's like, wait, now I've ended my possibility, like all these other possibilities, like, oh, wait, I'm
Right.
choosing this. And so that becomes very big in of itself. And so once you do decide, like, I think a lot of the times we like to live in our heads and kind of dream about stuff. At least I know I do, because I'm like, oh, well, in my head, everything's perfect. Like I can do all the
Right.
things in my head. But when you
Right.
come and collapse it and, and decide, like you said, collapse it into reality and make a decision and actually focus on that outcome that you want, that's pretty huge. And that's very big.
Yeah. Decide. It means to cut off all other options, to remove all other options, right? Like that it is a finality. And you're correct that it can feel a little bit overwhelming to, and again, I talk a lot about this whole nervous system recalibration thing, right? Because our nervous system, our subconscious self wants to keep us safe and same, right? Because sameness, familiarity is safe, right? And so when you decide on something that is in the unknown, even if it is the life you actually want and the one that you're living, this 9 to 5 drudgery rat race kind of a thing, is not what you want, but it's known, right? It's safe. So therefore, it's just easier to just like, let's just stay in this space, right? So like making a decision is to remove all other options and only go towards that one. And that can feel a little bit, ooh, right? However, it's better on the other side.
Yes, it is. Just commit, just do it, trust. Like, and you can always course correct too. So it's like if you get
Yeah,
to the other side of it and you're
a
like, oh
hundred
wait,
percent.
this didn't turn out how I wanted it to, you can always make another decision. So
Exactly.
not usually as dire or final, as you think it is. So yeah.
Right, because even in the decisions, you're good, right? Course correcting, that's actually a really powerful thing to understand and grasp that, because it's not that like, oh, well, yeah, exactly. You get to course correct, right? Um, but here's the end goal is okay, I want time freedom, I want work freedom, I want space freedom, I want that, right? If that's my end goal, that's my goal. I just decided that's where I'm going. Now, how I get there, I may make a whole bunch of course corrections along the way to get there, right? Maybe I try this route, maybe I do this or that, whatever, and I figure out yes or no, closing doors, opening windows, right? The whole thing. But my decision is to get to that freedom space, and that's where I'm going to end up, right?
Mhm.
What is it? If you shoot for the aim for the moon and you miss it, you still hit a star
Yeah.
kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but it is the decision which is the catalyst, right? So yeah.
Mhm.
So I love that. I love your story, Megan. Because I think I know a lot of us can resonate with that.
Mhm.
And it's really powerful to show these stories, right? Because, like we were talking about before we started this live, all of our voices are different, and there are different people who are called to our voices and our stories and who will resonate with different aspects of us, right? So for me, some of my story, which I know some of you know this, but I'm going to share mine because again, you know, it's a different story, not a very tidy story. Let me go with that, but it definitely matters, right? In 2011, I was widowed at the age of 32, right? And a single afternoon, I became a solo parent to 5 babies my husband and I had together. They were 8 months old to 9 years old, so they were babies, right? And we were on family vacation, and in an instant, my life changed. And I honestly, I can't describe fully what that experience was like in this moment here, but I distinctly remember I made a decision that day, standing there in the water, holding my baby in one arm, my 4-year old in the other arm, watching my life as I knew it shatter around me. But I remember making a decision. I was given a choice and I made a decision. I made a choice that day that this was not going to define us, that we were going to learn to thrive despite, right? And you guys, it was not an easy journey, right? But it has been one that has been filled with grace every step of the way, every single step. But so, obviously that shifted my trajectory. But my first husband and I, his name was CJ, we had really big dreams that we had been kind of, creating before he passed, right? And was a vision for our family that had absolutely nothing to do with scarcity or just getting by or doing a 9 to 5 or whatever, right? We had big goals. But, suddenly here I was alone, having to learn how to lead my family, how to learn how to do finances and be responsible for that. And like I shared in I think episode 1 of this series, like that was not something that I had done ever, right? My first husband was a CPA. He was the money guy. Like I had no real idea what I was doing. Okay. And I remember someone told me in that immediate aftermath that within 10 years, most widows' savings and life insurance and all things um, were gone, depleted, right? And oops, I think we might have just lost our. Oh no, okay, there we go. My Wi-Fi I thought went out. Okay, we're good.
All's good. Don't worry. We're rolling.
Okay. I was like, oh, I might be talking to the the black hole. But I remember being told that like most widows' life insurances and money and everything was gone within 10 years of the death of their partner. And I remember thinking, absolutely not. That is not going to be my story. My kids and I are not going to be destitute, right? Because that was essentially the story that was given to me. Like, this is your path. This is where you're going to end up. And I was like, oh, hell no, right? So I did what at the time I thought was what I was supposed to do, right? I kind of believe that the lie of that more education equals success, a better job equals a better life, that kind of thing. Even though I knew, actually, I knew at the minute that was not the right call, but that's what I had been conditioned, taught to do, right? Like you get good grades, you go to college, you get, the whole thing. But anyway, I went back and got my master's degree as a solo parent of five amazing kids, you guys. I went back and got my master's, and I became a nurse midwife, which is something I had wanted to do, because I was in women's health anyway, and I wanted always to be a nurse midwife. So I decided to go ahead and get that. So I went back and got my master's, and I love my work, you guys. I'm deeply grateful that the job that I get to do is impactful. And I do feel like I am making a difference in people's lives, right? Like being a part of the whole pregnancy and birth journey is a sacred thing. And it's a gift that I've been given. So I'm very grateful for that. But I also knew that I was not just here for this, for a job. I was here to do something on a bigger scale, right? But back to the job part of it, I went ahead and got my master's and all the things because I believed that that was going to be success for my kids and I, right? But you guys, I went from working 2 to 3 days a week as a nurse to working 5 to 6 days a week as a provider on a salary job, which if anybody works a salary job, you know that that's not ideal because you just work more time for free, right? But it was more time away from my kids, a little bit more pay, but not a lot really. And it was not wealth or freedom, like not even close. And that is what I desired, what I'd always desired, right? But then let's make it even better. Because I wasn't listening to my calling very clearly. I was just kind of like trying to put it off. You guys, I got injured. I got injured during a birth, a little chunky 10-pounder that injured my hand, little linebacker, those shoulders. But I had this moment because I was out of work for over 6 weeks in a time when I did not need to be out of work. Okay. We were already like having some like unexpected like financial things, but then I was taken out of work for over 6 weeks. And I remember thinking, I am relying on my physical body to make money. What happens when I can't work? And it was a sobering wake up call. I'm going to be honest, right? Um, not one that I wanted, but I believe it was something that I really needed because, again, I wasn't listening, right? I was just going down my little path, right? But even then, I still didn't quite listen clearly. And I had to go through some even darker times. Like massive unexpected financial hits came at us and like literally around 6 figures in a year of unexpected like financial things. And the debt began to pile up, medical bills, foreclosure risk. We got like within weeks of losing our home. Like it was the darkest financial season of my adult life. And I had walked through being widowed at 32. And this was the hardest time, right? Like it was really, really a scary, scary time. But I look at that time as a gift now because that was the beginning of the end of that season for me. That hard time that I walked through, that wake up call, getting injured at work, I realized so clearly, like there was no other choice but to realize this, that I had to do something differently. And when I realized that, I began to be open more to that calling, which had been quietly, insistently inside of me. And I had been shutting it down with so many things of life, right? Um, but removing all those other, stuff, it kind of gave me like a clarion call. And things didn't change overnight, but they changed consistently because I made a decision and step by step. And you guys, I have spent the last several years deep in trainings and learning and creating wealth building strategies and personal growth, but searching and becoming, like choosing, deciding to become the woman who moves, who no longer puts things off for a better time, right? And all these things. And honestly, I look at that time as such a gift now. I know that I went through that so that I could better understand and, empathize with the men and women in my world who are also going through challenging times and rebuilding financial trajectories, right? Right. Like, I'm not sharing and teaching from a place of what you should do. you guys, I am sharing from a place of lived experience and emerging from the other side and seeing that sun break through the impossibly dark clouds, right? Like I know what it's like to feel like the prayers you're sending up are hitting a tin wall and falling right back down on me, right? Feeling like I had just been left alone, bereft on my own. I know what that feels like. And I also know what it feels like to have that sun, that light break through the clouds and that ray of hope. And so I am so grateful, so incredibly grateful and humbled for this platform that I have, that God has given me to share with other women and men who are brought to my space, who are called to my voice and my story, right? So, anyway, I've been on this journey of rebuilding and now truly creating iconic wealth, right? Changing the trajectory of my family and my lineage for generations. Um, and I was learning and seeking for ways to grow for many, many years. Like I wanted to snowball my money. That was kind of the word that kept coming to mind. I wanted it to, but not just like a high yield savings account or a CD account, right? No, I wanted something that was going to like exponentially snowball my money, right? That's what I was looking for. That's what I was praying for. And so in late 2025 was when Megan, you brought WeFi into my world. And you guys, when I saw this project and I took the time to understand it and like lean in and like learn, it clicked. And this time, I was the woman who moved, and so I moved, right? Um, but I will say it wasn't a knowledge problem before because I knew, but it was like an identity problem because there was the version of me playing it safe with money, with my life, with my calling, what I was supposed to do. That version of me who was doing it was the same version who had been conditioned to believe that wanting more was dangerous or not for me or whatever. Like I had to do all of that work, right? The identity work, which is one of the pillars of the work that I do now in my coaching with women and men. And Megan, I want to kind of come back to you now because you teach on wealth creation in your Empress clubs, and which I am a proud member of. What is maybe the number one thing that you would say you see women having to unlearn before they can actually build? Do you see a pattern at all there?
Mhm. So, a couple of patterns actually. And the first one that I'll address is probably the main one that I even had to overcome, that I especially had to overcome. And that was, do you identify as someone who can hold wealth?
Mm,
Like, do you feel like you can actually hold wealth? Do you feel like you can actually be the person who earns it, and actually brings wealth into the equation? Because, for me, that wasn't something that was normal for me. I thought that wealth was something other people brought in, especially say like, a husband or, something that men brought to the table. And it's not to speak, ill of men or anything like that, be like, oh, women power. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's like, let's empower our ladies. But so that is, I think, something huge that, has meant something to me and that I have seen in other people throughout the years is like, oh yeah, actually this is, something I as a woman can do is hold wealth and create that actually. Like that's, I am the wealth and I actually can create that. Wealth is meant to move and we are, essentially infinite beings, right? We have infinite possibilities before us and we have infinite capabilities, I think, for creating wealth and bringing that into the equation. So I think that's one of the big things is can you hold wealth and actually be someone who creates it and moves it in your life. And that's, kind of the foundation of, or for me anyway, that's kind of what I think of when I think of the Empress brand that I helped co-found is, stepping into that role. Because, what is an Empress? It's someone who commands and actually is sovereign and create that sovereign wealth and uses her resources to accomplish things and build her empire and all that. So it's like, can you do that? Can you hold that wealth? And then another big thing that I do see is can you hold risk? How do you hold the uncertainty in your life? Which
mhm.
relates kind of to the idea of, okay, what is your floor? Like knowing, what's going to wreck you. So it's like, how do you hold risk? Like, do you know what the risks are? And, are you a high risk taker? Are you like very low tolerance for risk? Those are important things to find out about yourself. And
Yeah.
so it's always, good to like when you get into a wealth discussion or start, looking at ways to build wealth, it's kind of figuring out and you'll figure that out as you start, taking action, right? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, that really hurt, like, oh, especially because, I'm in the crypto Web3 world, and so it can be pretty volatile out there. And so when you start to see your funds, like when you place a trade or something, or you purchase something that, the value goes down fast, and you're like, it's
Ouch.
like, yeah, yeah, you're gonna find out pretty fast if if you bought too much in or so, you'd be like, oh my gosh. And so, but I think risk taking ends up being a really big factor to address, which actually, I mean, that's I think kind of universal, right? Because that actually is a subject that transcends everything, because how do you hold uncertainty in life? That's actually a conversation I've been having with a lot of people. I feel like just in the
Mhm.
last, especially even this week, is dealing with that uncertainty because whether it's your wealth or just even life in general, because going back to your story, Hannah, when you went through probably one of the most formative events, something
Yeah.
really difficult,
Yeah.
which I'm not sure that it gets much harder than that, losing your partner and having, and being thrown into that role of having to then provide for, I think you said you had 5 kids at the time.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild, and so it's like, how did you hold that uncertainty? What did you do in that moment? And so I think that's another major theme that we address and kind of help women get aware of, and this
Mhm.
whole thing is, okay, how do you hold your uncertainty as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I 100% um getting comfortable, I want to say, with the uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, learning to do that, learning curating that because it is something you can't teach yourself because I think for women in general, we want safety and security. That's a
Hmm.
core need for us, right?
Oh,
And I
yeah.
would say I would wager men want to feel secure as well. But like for
Yeah.
us as women, I think that's
Well,
kind of a core thing.
think about it, when you're a mother, especially, I
Yes.
think if you look at kind of one of those, main roles that, women have as a mother, which, you had 5 kids to take care of, going back to that story. It's like you had 5 kids to take care of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want some certainty. Like you're going to want some
Yeah.
safety there because it's like, well, I have to take care of these kids now, And so,
A
yes, I'm sure
hundred
men want
percent.
it too. But it's like you look at for a woman and stuff, and especially out in nature, you think of mama bear and, mama moose and all these things, and they're like, yeah, I got to take care of this little thing who can't really fend for itself. It's going to get eaten,
Right.
it's going to get killed, if I don't take care of this child. And so, yeah, like I
Yeah,
think safety and that being able to provide that safety, that is a core need for us. Yeah.
definitely. And yes, 100%. So yeah, so I definitely had to curate that and learn that. And, I mean, I will say being thrown into that, I had a choice. You can sink or swim, right? I had a decision to make and I decided that we were going to thrive despite like that was my hard line. Like this is not going to define us, right? And believe me, I poured myself into that. And also believe me, it was not a perfect route, nor is it, right? There are ups and downs in that, but the underlying theme was that we are going to learn to thrive and this is not going to define us or, you know, destroy us, I guess. Um, but learning how to be okay with that, the unknown, because again, like again, as women, as moms, right? It's like you always do the what if, you always plan for the what if, right? Like I don't know about you, but like we pack the diaper bag for all the things, right? We pack our purses for all the things, right? Like we're always planning in advance, kind of a thing, right? And being thrown into being a solo parent and a widow, that like that was, I was not planning for that, right? There was no
Who
way.
was?
And so it was a crash course in learning how to be okay with risk and whatnot. Um, and I had to learn, I decided I was going to thrive despite that. So I had to learn how to do that, right? And to be okay with I said, we do the hard. We do the hard. We don't turn away from it. We do not, because it hurts. I'm not going to look at it. No, I'm going to go into it. I'm going to lean into it. And so I have just brought those lessons into my life in every other space as well, right? When I'm triggered by something, when I'm, finding something hard, I'm going to get curious around what is it that is coming up for me and how can I lean into it and what can I learn here, right? Um, doesn't make necessarily the situation better or like more palatable or fun, but it's the power that I have to choose what I'm going to do with it and what I'm going to make it mean. And that is a very powerful shift. And it gives us a lot of power in the situation, even the ones that we feel like are so beyond our control. Because obviously, I would never have chosen to be widowed, to have 5 children without their dad. I would not have chosen that. But I did have the power to decide what I was going to make that mean for us and what we were going to do with it. So yeah, anyway, that I kind of rabbit trailed there a little bit, but it kind of plays into all of this thing with creating wealth and whatnot, right? And like you mentioned, um, the identity piece, like not, do we believe we are someone who can hold wealth, bring wealth, steward wealth? That was for me as well. That was something that I had to deal with because or kind of walk through, right? Or learn, explore, because I did kind of hold that belief that had been given to me by, my family of origin, culture, society, religion, whatever, that said, well, you're the mom, you're the wife, therefore you aren't able to command wealth like that. That's something that the husband does or the man does, right? That's so interesting because I
Mhm.
literally had to come face to face with that
Yeah.
on my journey here, right? As I have decided, especially branching into this bigger calling that I know that I have been given, right? I have a massive calling and I am building an empire, right? And I know, but I'm stepping into that fully instead of shrinking back because, like, well, I'm just a woman or just a mom. Like, absolutely not. I've been given this calling, I believe, by God. And so I am going to walk in that fully, full stop. And I believe it's going to be an empire size thing. Now, I don't have to worry about the how because that's not the point. The point is, I've decided to answer that calling and I've decided to move in that space and that I am able to do that as a woman. That's an identity shift, right?
Yeah. It's one
Yeah.
heck of an identity shift.
And then another little thing I just want to touch on that I see for women and again, I keep saying for women, but men, if
Yeah.
you're hearing something that resonates,
And yeah,
take it.
know that you're part
Right?
of this.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But for me, I know there is this idea, again, that, had been taught to me through all different ways that, and I think a lot of people are going to resonate with this, that the idea that wealth and goodness are intention or opposites, right? I kind of talked about this on episode 2. We don't want to be, the devil wears Prada or Cruella de Vil or something like that. We want to, like the more we have, the more that we build, maybe we're risking losing something essential to who we are as a woman, as a mother, as someone with faith and values, right? Like we are becoming that, right? The bad rich person, right? Right, right,
Yeah.
which is such a oxymoron, let's be honest,
Right.
because there are bad people on all levels of income and
Well,
value,
it's that's
right?
what's funny, and that is a huge shift, Hannah. Like, and I think,
Yeah,
if we're talking about things that you have to address when wanting to, I guess, it goes right along with the identity piece, of, hey, can I hold wealth? It's, ooh, am I still me? Am I still a good person? Because I think, yeah,
yeah.
we bring morals into it right away,
Will
and
it
there is
change
that question.
me?
It's
Yeah,
like, well, I mean, you can be poor, you can be rich. I mean, it doesn't really change who you are. So,
right.
because you're still going to be making the choices. And so that piece, the moral piece, I guess, that's really up to you. So,
Yes, exactly. And yeah, and I've come to realize, and I know deeply know, and experientially know that um it has not it doesn't create who you are. It only amplifies who you are. Money, right? Finances. And that
right.
a deeply good woman and man with more resources doesn't become less of who we are. We become more.
Mhm.
Become more generous. We become more impactful. We get to
Mhm.
open doors for other people that we love and the communities that we're part of. I know because as I have created resources and had resources, I've been able to bless others around me in massive ways that I could never do when I had no money, right?
Mhm.
I am a conduit of blessing and abundance for the ones that God has given me to bless, right? The ones he brings into my life. And
I
I'm
love that.
like, I love giving. There's such a gift in giving, right? It's not even just like oh, I'm just giving. No, like we get a lot out of giving, let's be honest, right?
Well,
Like,
it's good for everybody, the giver
yeah,
and the receiver. It's, I mean, that fills you up. Like,
a
how amazing
win-win.
is it? And I love how you said it, Hannah. It's, I get to be a conduit. So you are the conduit. And it's
Right.
amazing. And I think, and maybe what it is for folks, why we have such a hard time with wealth. And it's interesting actually if you look at it because it's like, I mean, you can see how someone feels about wealth, depending on which celebrities and who they choose to focus on. Because it's like, well, you can always find examples of good rich people, you can find examples of
Mm-hmm.
bad rich people, and like, gosh, I won't even
Exactly.
talk about some of the late court cases, that we look at. But it's like, but think about people like Richard Branson happens to be one of my personal heroes. I think he's a wonderful
He's
person, and
fascinating guy,
a
right?
fascinating
Yeah.
man, and plus I think I just admire his sense of adventure, really. But it's
Yeah.
like a lot of the good that he's done with his wealth, and there's so many other people we can look at. And so it's like, but you get to be that conduit, and wealth, it gives you more options essentially. It gives you, it amplifies who you are in a sense because it just gives you more options and allows you to do
Mm.
things in a bigger way if you want to.
Like I always say, more resources in the hands of good people only does more good in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then stewardship was the last kind of piece of shifting like identity kind of thing. And that's that kind of changed things for me. Because again, like I said, we're not just here to build millions and billions of dollars just because I want to accumulate and build this tower of gold and sit on top of it. Ha ha ha, right? No, I am building an empire because I've been entrusted with something. I've been given a divine calling, I believe, divine, and I intend to multiply it and be that, again, that conduit of grace and overflow for all of those brought into my circles. And I'm so excited about it. Like what a gift it is. Like I already said, it's such a gift to be able to do that. But, with I think we have a responsibility that comes with building wealth at these levels is to learning how to steward it, right? I don't know what your thoughts are on that as well, but like as we are, building our iconic wealth, it also comes along with, stewarding and learning how to do that wisely in a way, right?
Mhm.
But like I said, a deeply good woman and man with more resources, we don't become less of who we are. We become more of who we are, and it just gets amplified, and it just so exciting.
Oh, man, it is. And on the subject of stewardship, that is probably, that's one of my favorite subjects. And there's some people that, really stand out to me. And probably one of the people that really talked about this subject in a really good way, I thought, was Lynn Twist with her book, The Soul of Money. That is
Okay.
one of like that it was a formative book for me, and I read that years ago. And I remember what because kind of the message is that your spending choices influences the world around you. And
Mhm.
so you as a consumer, and a holder of wealth, a steward of wealth, right? Because I don't care, how poor you are, you don't care if you're homeless, because even a homeless person, usually has some kind of money, right? Like they've
Yeah.
got something. But it's like you get to influence the world around you by what you choose to spend on.
Uh,
And so in The Soul of Money, she's exploring that. She's like, conscious money, really making those conscious choices of, okay, do I want to give my money to, and I don't know that I like to say it like this, but a soulless brand, or like a soulless company, like, because that sounds maybe a little on the judgy side because maybe there's more to it than you think. But at the same time, it's like, what do you want to see building the world, I would much rather give my money to a brand that's trying to take care of the world and do things in a sustainable way, than the brand that's just like, nah, I don't care, chop all the trees down, and don't replace it. I don't care, like,
that
yeah,
is
nah,
what
throw
is
the kids in the sweatshop. I don't care. It's like, no, I want to give my money to a brand that's like, all right, let's increase education, let's empower women, like
Yeah.
let's do microloans or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
can we please see more of that? And yeah, it's probably going to be a little more expensive, but at the same time, is that the world you're wanting to see? Are you just, are you more concerned about saving a buck, or why don't you go make an extra buck or something? Go create something that makes you a few extra bucks or something. And then you
Right.
can, put your money towards the nicer product that does support, local ladies or, or whatever.
Mhm.
So it's, yeah, thinking about your spending choices because you are a steward and you do already hold wealth. And I also want to make it clear that I'm not necessarily against the 9 to 5. So it's like, if that's how you earn your wealth, great. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No one is poo-pooing on your lifestyle. It's just, it doesn't make you happy. But to come back to it, it's like you are a steward of wealth. You have it right now. And you get to
Yes.
put your money towards things you get to. You do get to put your money towards the things you want to see. And you are indirectly fueling and creating the world that you see around you by what you put your money towards. And is it always an easy choice? No. Maybe there's no other alternative. And that's why, of course, we also want to talk about these things. But that's part of stewardship. It's like make sure that you get to help create the world around you through the money, that you have and the choices you make.
I love that. That's such a powerful way of saying that, Megan. You're correct because at all levels, we are stewards of our wealth. That
Hmm.
is so true. Because I think that's actually really powerful to point out. I'm glad you said that because it's not about, oh, well, when I'm a millionaire,
Yeah.
then I
When I'm a
will.
millionaire, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
plant some trees in the Amazon or something. It's like, no,
Right. Right.
you're fueling that
Exactly.
right now. It's like, yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Every
Yeah.
dollar you spend, like it's going towards something. And so make sure it's going towards what you want it to go towards.
Right.
So
What
yeah.
matters to you? Right, exactly. And that's so true because yes, all along the way, it doesn't matter. Even in my darkest times, I've still given to things that matter to me, right? Because it is about stewarding it and yes, and being a conduit. And so like that's actually really, really that's a really beautiful way of saying that. And it's super important, I think, to hold on to that because every
Mhm.
person listening and hearing this right now, you are stewards of your wealth.
Mhm.
How are you stewarding it?
How are you stewarding it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's,
Like who's behind the brand? Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, get curious, where are you putting your dollars towards? So anyway,
yeah,
not to
I
make
love
this
it.
like, a crazy like discussion, but it's like, yeah, but
No, it's a
get
good
curious about what is
conversation.
your money going towards? So yeah.
That's what I love these conversations. This is why I created this, because these things matter. These
Yes.
conversations matter.
These are the
And
conversations that matter. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
And so I love that you created this table, Hannah. So I'm happy to be here having this with you.
doing real life. I'm not here for the fake or the shallow, right? Like all of all of those things got stripped away and I'm glad they're gone. So, yeah, so let's do the things that matter. Something you said about, oh, putting our money towards like creating the world that we want. And that actually kind of triggered a little something from me because, we talk a lot about
Ooh,
like Web3 and things like that.
okay.
And why it's so exciting to me is because again, that's kind of that thing of like we are creating the world we want to live in, and getting to benefit from, yay, woohoo, right? But, like let's talk about Wi-Fi, why we're all in on that thing, right? Because that is such a powerful
Mhm.
opportunity that is available for us now. And it is creating something. And I mean, they're creating it, and you need to get the option of whether or not you want to join in. But I am wholeheartedly here to join in on it, right? Because it hits all of those things that matter to me. Um, on both like how can, because again, microloans for people in other parts of the world who need that money, who can't access it any other way, like they are, one of their visions is to reach the unbanked with banking services, right? That's huge to me, knowing that the money I'm putting into this is not just benefiting me, it's also going to benefit other people on other parts of the world who've never had opportunities. That matters to me. So yeah, I'm going to put my money, I'm going to steward my wealth towards that. Right.
Mhm.
Like it's just so powerful to think, what is it? The flap of a butterfly's wings and the Amazon can create, what is it?
It creates like a hurricane or something across
Yeah,
the world. Yeah.
right. Like you guys, you understand the little things that we do has a ripple effect, and it's a powerful effect. You may not see that butterfly in the Amazon doesn't see the hurricane that it causes somewhere else, but that's not the point. We are to do our part where we are at, right? And knowing that our ripple effects happen regardless, either for good or for not good, right? And that's something maybe a little bit sobering to think about. But it's true, right? Like we are making a decision and choosing things either or. It's not just a non thing. Like wherever we are stewarding our money, our wealth towards, our money towards, it is actually creating the world that we live in. Interesting.
100%.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a rabbit trail as well.
I love it. No, I'm here for all of the going down the
All
rabbit
the
hole. I'm,
things.
I'm here for it.
Okay, we're gonna start wrapping up this juicy conversation today. It's been so good. Yeah,
It sure
this was a
has.
good one. Love it.
Love this one.
Um, but did you know what today is? Besides Willow's birthday, do you know what today is?
Well, I did see it in one of our Wi-Fi chats, actually, what
Oh,
today
did you?
is. So I did
I did
actually.
not plan this at all because I
Did
was
you
gonna.
not? Okay, I was
I
going to
did
ask
not.
because when I
I
saw that you had put this in
no.
the show notes for today, I
I
was like, wait a minute, did she know?
I
Like,
did not. I literally realized it as I was logging on today. I was like, oh wait, today is
there's
Bitcoin
no way.
Pizza
Okay, no
Day,
way. Like, this is too perfect. Like, because I was just like,
right?
there's no, like, Hannah had to have seen this. Like, she had to plan this
Not at
because
all.
this is too perfect.
I
All right,
promise. I had
what
no
is today,
clue.
Hannah? You're the one that has to tell. So, like, what is today?
I was so tickled when I saw that. It was right before I let you into the Zoom room. I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. So, you guys, for those of you who are not in the crypto world, I was going to share this story today. And because it's such a fun kind of haha
It
uh,
is. It is.
picture of the power of understanding something, of the value of something that you hold now. And it's a story. So let me tell you the story first of all, okay? Because it's one I love to tell. I tell like my presentations when I'm sharing about WeFi and things like that. But back in May of 2010, May 22nd of 2010, so today, these many years ago, there was a programmer in Florida, Laszlo Hanyeks or something like that. His PH.
Hungarian guy.
There you
Yes,
go.
crazy last name.
He
Awesome
was
last
hungry,
name.
right? He was hungry. So he went online for some reason and made an offer that he would pay 10,000 Bitcoin to anyone who would order him two pizzas. And someone took him up on it. I forget the name of the guy. But it was a username of somebody. I don't remember. I don't even know if we know who it was. But someone took him up on it and ordered two Papa John's pizzas, and it showed up at his door. And Laszlo paid that person 10,000 Bitcoin. And at that time, 10,000 Bitcoin was worth about roughly $41. So $41 for two pizzas. Fairly reasonable, a little high, but cool, cool, whatever. He's doing it to make a point, right? But you guys, it blows my mind because those same 10,000 Bitcoin, if anybody knows about Bitcoin, your math antenna went up, right? Because depending on the day you're checking, obviously, it's we've been a lot higher because it represents anywhere from hundreds of millions, I think 788 million today, to over $1 billion
Mhm.
for two pizzas,
For two pizzas.
right? So obviously, it's one
Yeah.
of those like, oh my gosh, if only, right? Kind of things.
Yeah.
Um, and I honestly, I think Laszlo, because he actually did like an interview around it around that time, because he was doing it to make a point about, that Bitcoin was a real asset that could be used to do something in real life, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And that's what he was doing at the time. But like, he had no idea that today that would be worth,
Right.
maybe $1 billion. Cool, cool,
Oh,
right?
oh,
But I
oh,
love it
it's so big.
because it is such a beautiful analogy or metaphor picture of it's like a beautiful illustration, there you go, of what it means to not fully understand the value of the asset you are holding in your hand or the opportunity of what's being shared with you, right?
Hmm.
And personally, I know you know this, Megan, I've shared this with you before, but I missed out on Bitcoin
Hmm.
two times when it was really like halfway explained to me, but there's a third time too that's not really, but two times when it was kind of explained to me on two separate occasions. And I didn't understand it. I didn't take the time to understand it. And my circle of influence at the time also had no clue what it was, right? So I didn't take the time to kind of lean in and learn about it. Um, and I missed out to the tune of millions of dollars that I would have had today if I had taken the time.
Hmm.
And I don't say that to be like, oh, sad me, because I'm not. Um, However, I have learned the lesson from that. And I am not missing out on this project with WeFi. And I know, Megan, for you, you've been in this wealth building space, participating in like the crypto space in particular, longer than I have. So what do you say to the person who's is like, yeah, I'll look at it later kind of a thing when talking about this?
Oh. I say, okay, you can definitely wait. Of course you can. It should always
Of
be your
course.
choice. And the wealth wave is moving with or without you. And
Right.
it's never meant, tongue in cheek. It's never meant to be mean or anything, but it's like
Yeah.
things will happen and move without you,
Yeah.
with or without you. Because this one and these opportunities oftentimes only come, well, actually, I will say they pretty much always just come once. You only get that kind of critical mass, like, massive wealth wave at one point, with
Yeah.
an opportunity like this. And so, you know, Hannah's asked it, in previous episodes, if you had had the chance to purchase Bitcoin early on, would you have done it? If you had the chance to get into Amazon early on, would you have done it? Maybe, and I guess maybe the real question is, would you have recognized it as the opportunity it is? And
Mm,
so, maybe you would have, maybe you wouldn't have. But with this, it's like, okay, of course you can wait, but you are going to miss something. You're going to
yeah.
miss that potential Amazon or Bitcoin-like opportunity because in this, and interestingly enough, when you were talking about the 10,000 Bitcoin pizza thing, I was like, gosh, like, it's funny. We talk about that transfer of wealth and everything. Well, this wealth wave is going to be pretty big. And actually, it's not even going to, you got to be on the inside to actually use that. You're not just going
Right.
to be able to, go in and buy a little bit later. Like, the banks and like institutions that are going to be trying to get in on this later, they're not going to be able to nearly get the benefit later on because they're not going to have already been in the system. And so this is one of those things where, in a sense, it's a little bit like invite only, and you got to be lucky enough for somebody to want to sell what they're going to have later on. Because right
Yeah.
now you are buying a piece of that infrastructure, and that's in technology, which is actually going to be creating the very thing that makes the whole ecosystem run within Wi-Fi. And you're going to have to wait for someone to want to sell their pieces of that in order to even get in, which they may or they may not want to. So, and it's
Yeah.
not,
Because we've learned now, I think, with crypto, because crypto is, has been a relatively new thing. And people, there's so many stories of like, oh yeah, I used Bitcoin to buy pizzas or Bitcoin to buy my house, whatever.
yeah,
And now it's worth, X, Y,
right.
and Z. We have
Hmm.
realized that crypto, things like this, they are an asset and you don't get rid of assets. You
Yeah,
leverage
get with
them.
assets. And you might at one point, you might want to cash out and be like, okay, well, yeah, let me go buy my, $1 million mansion by the sea or whatever, it's like, let me do that. And you
Right.
can't. But it's also like, again, to go back to the timing piece, you only get one shot usually for
Yeah.
things like this. And this wealth wave is growing. Again, kind of reference back to what we talked about in earlier conversations with the leadership, Reeve Collins, the billion-dollar Tether, co-founder, he
Right.
went live on
Multi-billion.
Coindesk. Yeah, multi-billion. Yeah, exactly. It's like, gosh, how much money this man has. But
Right.
it's like, the level of what he's doing here, it's pretty massive, because the leadership team, these aren't people that are new to finance or crypto. He's got some of
Right.
the most experienced people on the board.
Right.
And so this is going to be huge. And he just went live on Wall Street, which that also tells you something.
Massive
And
things.
yeah, and so there's some huge partnerships coming in, and large, institutions are taking notice of what's happening. And so
Yeah.
if that's starting to happen, if Wall Street starts to take a look at this, which they are, it's going to move a heck of a lot faster. And
Yeah.
so there is always that early mover advantage. It's just the way that it is. And so I would say, yeah, if you're curious at all, like you need to
Move
get
now.
in. You
Get
need to
in
move
now.
now.
Yeah.
And that's not FOMO. That's not meant to scare anybody. It's not meant to, whatever. But I guess in a way, yeah, it is meant to say, hey, take a look now because, yeah, you are going to miss the wave. And it's a pretty awesome wave, I will
It's a
say. So,
pretty awesome wave. That's right.
yeah,
I mean, honestly, every time I look at something, look up another thing about it, there's just another announcement. I mean, Visa, we just did massive, there's a bunch of articles out because Visa and WeFi have partnered. And you guys, y'all know Visa.
right,
Everybody knows Visa,
right.
right? So they have literally just partnered and like announced their partnership because we knew that they were working on stuff before it was announced, but now it's officially announced, right? And like you said, he's been on Wall Street and like it's
Mhm.
massive and it is coming faster and faster because like again, you and I have gotten into this before he was on Wall Street, before Visa announced all these, right? So like these things are shifting and changing day by
They do.
day and
Yeah.
the opportunity is still here, but
Mhm.
it is not going to be here for long. And I am so passionate about like
Mhm.
you can never now say that you are not offered an opportunity to get on the ground floor or something that most likely is going to change the financial infrastructure of the world going
Right.
forward. And this is the moment. This is we're in it right now, right? So you have a choice. You get to decide.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
know,
there's that word decide again.
right?
Like, hey.
Like you mentioned, Megan, like when the people who created or ran the old financial industry, who already disrupted it once, Reed Collins with,
Mhm.
stablecoin, Tether,
Mhm.
when they are building something new and they're in it and doing it, I'm going to follow them because they have a proven track record, right? When they're building this new foundation and they're offering, hey, do you want to get on this? I pay attention, right?
Mhm.
Like I said, I missed out on Bitcoin twice to the tunes of
Yep.
millions and millions.
Yeah.
I am not missing this one, and neither is my family. And super excited about it, and super, like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. So
The caliber of
definitely,
the caliber of the people involved here, because in
yes,
lest you think that it's just a another crypto project, you got to look again at the board of who's on this, because you also have another big name, Khalid Suleiman, which if
yes.
you know anything about how the Emirates rolls, so Khalid Suleiman is the former CEO of the National Bank of Abu Dhabi, which, okay, you know about Dubai, the wealth is peanuts compared to what Abu Dhabi has. So
Right.
it's pretty awesome. And so, do you think Khalid Suleiman knows a thing or two about banking? Well, and he also has, ties to Swiss banking from the past, right? And so, we're not just talking about some basic crypto project, that does the rug pulls and stuff. No, these are some of the
Mhm.
largest names in the industry. I mean, Reeve Collins, if he's willing to put his name behind this, Khalid Suleiman. You also have Roman Rosov from Wise Products, Wise Banking
Yeah.
Products. That's another massive name. So it's like you have some of the best leadership and minds on this. And so, like Hannah said, when these guys make moves, you want to look and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Follow the breadcrumbs,
follow
right?
the breadcrumbs. And I
Yeah.
should probably shut up. I'm like, oh my gosh,
No,
we
I
could
love
talk all
it.
day about this. I'm just like, oh man.
No, this is life-changing stuff, right? So we should be talking about it. It's life-changing stuff. It can literally alter your family's financial trajectory
Right.
for generations, right?
Right.
We all know the names. Rockefeller, all the different things, right?
Hmm.
You could be creating that
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
want to. Yeah.
Right.
Very, really, really fascinating. And again, lights me up and I get excited about it.
Same.
But yes, reach out to Megan or I. We are here to talk about it more in depth, give you information, help you figure out how to make this a part of your life and your portfolio if that's something you want. But
Hmm.
I would get curious at least to figure out more information about it. What your decision is, that's totally up to you, right? But like,
Totally up to you. Of course.
yeah,
Is there risk? There's always risk. I mean, gosh, there's even risk with the
there's
SpaceX, IPO that just came out. It's like, come
right.
on, so it's like, please. But it's also looking at the positioning and putting yourself in the right place and just being like, well, what could be, So take a serious look.
Right. And yeah, I'm like, I'm okay with that risk. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. How do you hold your
I,
risk?
I
So,
I kind of have, again, I said I have curated the ability to be okay with risk, and I've kind of come to the point where I actually like it,
hmm.
getting in that discomfort because I know that's a place of growth for me.
Hmm.
So I've learned to not recoil from the stretchiness of things. And
Yeah.
this is not just in financial stuff, but like you guys, it is getting
All
into that
things.
space of growth. Right, right.
Yep.
Um, oh my gosh, I'm triggering my midwife thoughts when I speaking to women who are like, in labor, it's hard, it can feel overwhelming and all the things. And like in this one space, especially when I'm talking to a new mom, particularly, who's in labor for the first time, I'm like, this is the one time maybe in your life where pain, discomfort is not something you need to recoil from. In every other aspect of life, up to this point, when you had something hurting, it was something was wrong, right? But in this case, this is bringing. It's good. It's bringing you to a new space, right? It's that growth part of it. And in this one, we get to lean into it. We get to be, excited for it. And that kind of brings me to zooming out for the bigger picture, right? Because again, WeFi and other opportunities that we're in, these are the vehicles that we're doing. But my other work and my iconicity movement, but my iconic 365 is this environment that I built to hold the women who are in it as we are calibrating to those new levels and walking in these new things, this identity of us, right? Because underneath both of these, I would say, is a vision. And I think it's kind of so we are women who have decided to create our iconic lives, not lives that just look good from the outside, posting on Instagrams, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, but like performative kind of things, actual lives with freedom, wealth, deep alignment, the stuff behind the pictures when you put down the phone, where you are filled with joy to be with the people in your life, when you get to move through the world on your own terms and bring other people with you, right? And we're doing this in a community. We're modeling it for each other, for other women, for other men, even who need to see that it's possible before they'll believe it for themselves. And so, Megan, again, we've talked about iconic life, but I would love to hear just kind of your definition. What does an iconic life mean to you?
Mm. Iconic life to me really means just being so fully unapologetically yourself and living the way that you want to live. So, I mean, that's kind of it to me in a nutshell. And so for me, it's, yeah, bringing all the pieces of me to the table and not apologizing about it, like being myself. And of course, I mean, we could also down and say, yeah, it's also about traveling, like getting to travel
Yeah.
the world and be untethered and all that good stuff. But like, I think at its
Iconic.
core, but it's, yeah, that's iconic. It looks iconic, right? But it's like, I think iconicity always starts on the inside. And
Yeah.
so for me, I'm like, gosh, just to be authentically myself and to never apologize for it, to just be happy with who I am, like that's iconic. But yeah, it does include those other things too.
Yeah, I agree. Like, and same for me. It's like, it's not that it's perfect every day. It's not that there's not hard moments, but
No.
it is a life that I am wildly in love with, truly, deeply grateful, fully alive, aligned, fully mine, right? Not living in someone else's idea of how I can be, like waking up every day in alignment with the calling that I believe God has placed on my life through those daily decisions, through the standards that I hold, the things I refuse to abandon myself anymore, right? Through proximity and community with other women and men who remind me of who I'm becoming when I forget in those moments, right? Right. And
Mhm.
that's kind of what I've created with Iconic 365, which is this beautiful offer. And I'll drop the sign up in the comments. If you guys are interested in joining us, we start June 1st.
I joined. I'm excited.
Yeah, yeah, I'm so excited to have you in there. But it's an entire 365 days of being together in proximity, of having daily voice note drops and things like that, where we're just like, we're doing it in community, we're modeling it, we're linking arms and going fast and far, right? And keeping ourselves in that vision. We're not falling back, like making a decision, taking a step, and then retreating back into the old way of getting things, right? Or getting in and then talking yourself out when we get things start to feel a little uncertain, right? That's that identity problem, right? It's not an information because we have all the information in the world. But sticking into that identity, that new identity, the chosen identity is the most common reason I think that women don't build the wealth we're fully capable of building. It's
Hmm.
the identity piece. Um, and so yeah, I created Iconic 365 to work with that. It's a daily proximity environment where the version of us who makes those bold decisions, who holds our standards, who doesn't drift back when life gets loud, that gets to become our new normal. It's
Hmm.
not something that we visit when we go to retreat here and there, or, we do a challenge or whatever. It's a way we get to live. Yeah. And you guys, I'll tell you, the one who are already in there, Megan being one of them, they're not there just for motivation. They're there because they understand that their identity is shaped in the ordinary moments, the everyday moments, the tired moments, the stretched moments, the moments where old patterns try to pull us back into the old thing and we are not here for it anymore. We want a daily environment that keeps calling us forward, right?
You said the word, Hannah, environment. So I
Yeah.
was like, well, put myself in proximity, put myself in the environment with other icons. Because if that's the kind of life I want to live, well, I need to put myself in the place where that happens. So, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So exciting. All
Mhm.
right, you guys. So today was a great conversation, Megan. I loved it. Thank you
Me too.
again so much for coming on. And you guys, I know we shared a lot today. Today was a deep conversation. And I'm so glad you guys were here for it and leaned in for it. But our encouragement to you is, you know, lean in, get curious, and move. Either
Mhm.
way, but move. It's
Yeah.
like Megan said, that wave is cresting.
Wave is cresting. It's
That
moving.
wave is
It's
cresting.
gathering speed. We're at the pipeline, big wave finals.
We
So yeah, we
are,
gotta
we
go.
are. So
High
come on
masters,
and
baby.
join us. Come on and join us. It's so much fun on the top of the wave. And then yeah, join us in Iconic 365. Um, June 1st, the prices go up. So right now is the best time to get the price. Again, it's that wave of opportunity, right? But come and join us and spend a year anchoring into your chosen identity and your new self. Like, wow, it's gonna be so nourishing and so um just exactly what you need to continue the transformation that you want and see that version of you as your everyday life, you know? So, okay, you guys, links are in the bios, all that fun stuff. So, in the comments, I'll drop the thing in the comments so you guys can have that. But thank you again for being a part of today's conversation. My hope, like I said, my desire, my intention for creating this iconic wealth series is that more women and men feel informed, feel empowered, expanded, and invited into these conversations around wealth, around opportunities, around stewardship, and the future that we're helping shape together. We're creating our world, right? And like we said, wealth in the hands of good women and men create ripple effects far beyond what we can see today. So, if today's conversation sparked something for you, lean in, stay close, share this episode, send it to your friends, but come and join us inside these spaces, inside the conversation, because these conversations really, really matter, right? And it changes our families, it changes our lives, it changes our communities, and our entire futures change, right? So until next time, tomorrow is our last live on this series, tomorrow morning at 10. Um, keep paying attention, get curious, expanding, keep moving like the iconic women and men that you guys already are. And I will see you in the next conversation. Bye.
All right.